So I'd like to talk about how to design alien artificial intelligences that really program beyond the limits of human knowledge and reason. When we think about AI, a question that I'd like to pose to us is, what kind of AI do we want? Do we want artificial intelligence? Since Karel Čapek's humanoid universal robots in a play in the 1920s to Fritz Lang's Metropolis Maria, up through Alan Turing's Imitation Game, where the human intelligence is the standard for artificial intelligence, that mimicking human outcomes ends up being the target for human computational intelligence. This idea and imaginary is furthered by Arthur Samuels' checkers playing machine learning systems, where not only the outcomes of human or of machine activity are judged intelligent as a function of their indistinguishability from human intelligence and moves, but that you train them on human moves. You make each one of those moves look like human player moves, and so it's not just the outcome, but the process that also needs to look human. This idea, this imaginary, was coined, artificial intelligence, by John McCarthy in a proposal for a conference in 1955. And you can see today, when you just type on Google artificial intelligence, representations of the human brain turn digital, right? This is the target for the human computational intelligent imaginary. In the same way that if you type up robot, you get two-eyed, two-armed, and usually, but not always, two-legged creatures. And the question I'd like to pose is really that with 7 billion humans and growing, is artificial intelligence of this type that effectively points towards a bullseye in the back of human capacity the most efficient or the most ethical computational investment, especially with stagnation in labor productivity around the world, for example, dropping from 2.8 to 1.3% for all but one OECD country. Can we do better? And it turns out that one inspiration is a different kind of AI. So in 1955, the same year that artificial intelligence was coined, another idea, amplifying intelligence, was coined by William Ashby in his Introduction to Cybernetics, and was echoed as amplified and augmented intelligence elsewhere. This idea is that you're going to accelerate human thinking by providing unmediated manipulation of information. If the robot was the embodiment of artificial intelligence, the interface is the embodiment of augmented intelligence: mice, screens, hypertext, Neurolinks, and EEG helmets. But even though these are arguably more productivity enhancing and useful than artificial intelligence, certainly over the second half of the 20th century, they're also fundamentally incremental and small. I mean, they hive off of existing human intelligence. And so I'm posing the question here: how do we build AI that helps us think differently, that helps us think better, that helps us think bigger, that surprises us? And one way to think about this as a design problem is using large-scale data and models to understand how individuals and societies think, and then grow alien intelligences that think differently and that can complement human thinking. So how do we as science and society think? Well, do we deduce things from principles or induce things from observations? It turns out in science, it's much more likely for us to what's called abduce. This is where you have an expectation or an experiment and it collides with the real world. The findings are not what you expected, and that drives new possible experiments. And it turns out that when we build models that predict next year's sciences and papers and patents, that the most predictive thing or the best way to predict things that will have outsized success and attract a lot of attention in the next period is with maximum unpredictability. So the things that surprise the most are the things that attract the most attention and become the most disruptively successful in science. And where do these come from? They come from conversation with aliens, with scientists who live outside the fields to which those contributions are made. So if we want to build alien artificial intelligences, we want to build good, not good robots, well-behaved robots, but bad robots, robots that basically build off of and against the ways in which we think about intelligence working. And This is an example of such a system. A friend of mine, Lav Varshney, who modeled surprise in food and was able to build. Oh, there's my chime, and there's the end of time. I'll just say that another thing that we do as humans is that we follow the crowd, and I've modeled how scientists follow the crowd extensively. You can invert that process and model how science is going to discover the next powerful material property. But by avoiding scientists, you can predict what they won't discover. And it turns out in the lab that we do better. These experiments and proposals do better than if we had identified things that they're most likely to generate. Again, these artificial intelligences aren't working independently of us. They're basically building off of our insight to complement. So to generate robust insight and rapidly advanced technology, we need an ensemble of diverse intelligences. And for AI to make a big difference, we need a new AI that radically augments intelligence by understanding and programming past the limits of human reason and training ensembles, diverse ensembles of human and alien intelligences to solve the problems of the world. So with that, I'll close. Thank you.